Hello, everyone. Welcome to Court with Krissy. After hearing this driver's sob story in traffic court, I went straight to Google, and I'm going to save you the keystrokes. We're kicking this off with a Kathy v. KON news clip. I've also linked in the description. Like and hype, Court with Krissy is now in session.
Case number 26, RO 04103. This is People versus Katika Vitosevic. That's you.
This woman is a master storyteller. Her latest appearance in court comes after admitting to using a friend's credit card and checks. She doesn't seem to mind lying to people, even the judge. She takes it all in stride. Katika Vitosevic, a.k.a. Kathy Kristich, in court, still keeping up the con.
Your Honor, my life's resume is filled with great accomplishments.
Not exactly the typical apologetic speech you hear from a defendant before she's sentenced. But then again, Kathy is anything but typical.
She is a narcissist. She is a pathological liar. I don't believe a word she says.
Earlier this year, I spent months looking for Katika Vitosevic, who had been using the name Kathy Kristich as she worked various confidence schemes around Midtown Detroit. We caught Kathy on camera at an upscale Midtown restaurant where she posed as a party planner, but her boss eventually came to the conclusion she was using that position to find victims for her money-making schemes. Sarah says Kathy Kristich talked her out of $5,000 to buy a funeral home. Several business owners told me Kathy Kristich finagled them out of money as well, claiming she was affiliated with the Q-Line rail system. Then, Sarah learned Kathy Kristich was really named Katika Vitosevic, a convicted stalker and shoplifter. She had arrest warrants out of Wayne and Oakland counties. Finally, after I exposed her on TV and the Troy Fugitive Task Force put the pressure on her, Kathy, a.k.a. Katika, turned herself in. She's been in jail since August. Now she's before Judge Martha Anderson in Oakland County Circuit Court after pleading no contest to larceny in a building. This lady changes up the game depending on her mark. In this case, Kathy was in a casino and saw a jackpot. An elderly lady, the prosecutor says, Katika Vitosevic targeted with the sole intention of victimizing. She says Kathy's behavior was predatory. The victim is identified as Miss Franchow. Prosecutor Sidney Turner describes what happened next.
While inside Miss Franchow's home, defendant then obtained Miss Franchow's checks, access to Miss Franchow's charge account, and of course engaged in numerous fraudulent transactions.
The judge sentences Katika to 120 days and restitution.
She lied to this court numerous times. She presented fraudulent documents to this court.
And true to her bizarre nature, Kathy thanks the judge for putting her behind bars, claiming she needed the break.
I have spent almost 4 months, a 4-month sentence in the Oakland County Jail, and totally feel refreshed. Those days work for me, and I claim them.
She is an unusual person. Katika Vitosevic is already serving a 90-day sentence for violating probation in Oakland County. Next week, she'll be in court in Wayne County for yet another probation violation. I guess she'll find that refreshing as well.
Yes, that's me.
Thank you. Ms. Vitosevic, you were present earlier when the court explained the nature of an informal hearing. True?
Yes.
So you understood the court's instruction that you must select from one of 3 options to protect your rights, yes?
Yes.
Ms. Vitosevic, the citation before the court was issued on June 11th this year at 20 minutes of noon. You were operating a 2025 Ford, white in color, northbound Woodward Avenue at or near Catalpa. At that place and time, you were cited for operating while using, holding, or touching a mobile electronic device in violation of Michigan's hands-free law. The officer's remark that shows on your ticket indicates northbound Woodward, driving approximately 15 miles under the speed limit, phone in right hand, and apparently there was a statement of using GPS. That is simply an allegation at this moment, though, Ms. Vitosevic. So what you were cited for is a 0-point violation of operating while using a mobile device. You may admit responsibility. You can admit and explain, or you can deny responsibility and the court will lay the matter down for a contested hearing. What do you wish the court to do for you?
I would like to admit that it did happen.
Very
And
well.
that
So you're confirming, I'm sorry, slow down for just a minute. You're doing great. So
Yeah.
you're confirming to the court that on the date in question, you were operating a motor vehicle while using, holding, or touching a mobile device. Yes?
Yes, correct. With an
Thank you.
explanation. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So on the 11th, so that morning I rented a van, Your Honor. In the past, as I told the officer, who was very nice, by the way, maybe 10 years ago, I went through a very rough time in my life that was life-changing. And I said, I'm retired now and I've resorted to buying and selling vintage furniture. And so twice a month, I rent a van from Enterprise in Southfield on Telegraph. And so, and my daughter lives on right there in Berkeley. And I used her garage for storage, right? And so I pulled out and actually I got in the car and the CarPlay, you know, the little screen was not working. And so I called Enterprise and he said, just bring it in. We'll get you a different van. There's been a problem. Okay. And so when I came out, I put the GPS, but I had to use my phone. I could not use the screen, right? I'm 64 years old. And so I have it like down sitting in the cup holder. And all of a sudden started saying, it told me to make that turn, right? And then it says rerouting. And I picked it up because I didn't even know. I couldn't even see like where it was telling me to go. And I was going slower and I was going to pull into that gas station. There's a gas station right there. And I saw the lights and I stopped and I explained to the officer and she seemed to be very understanding. And then obviously I gave her my license and she goes and she sees that I have a record. But I want to say, Your Honor, I've tried so hard. I've gone through like the darkest times. I lost my $1 million house. I lost my job as CFO of an automotive supplier. But it doesn't make me a bad person at all. And so I don't want to be judged for what's happened to me because I've hired Todd Flood's law firm to get rid of all that stuff for me. And I explained to her and I showed her the phone. You know, I said, look, I can't see it that far. I have to pick it up because I'm going to exchange the van, you know, basically. And so I came to Enterprise and I'm sitting in a van if I needed to explain like how it works. They let me do that. And all I want is I admit responsibility. I don't text and drive. I barely even talk on the phone. But if I just don't want anything on my record, if you could make it something else, you know what I mean? I'd gladly pay the fine. I'm working so hard not to have anything, you know, that for me to see sirens behind me is very traumatic.
The court believes it.
Sorry to break down.
You're doing fine. The court believes it has its hands around this reasonably well, Ms. Vitasevic. Now, the court has to respect the separation of powers. The court didn't write the ticket, therefore the court can't basically unwrite the ticket. But stand by for just a moment. Officer Miller, as department rep, what would you like to share?
Your Honor, I don't have anything further to add with this being a citation that if it occurs again in the future is an enhanced citation. I don't have anything to add, Your Honor.
Very well. Ms. Vitasevic, based upon your candor, the court cannot do anything to this charge to prevent a lien message. The court doesn't have that statutory authority, but what the court can do is reduce your fine. This is normally $220. The court is going to reduce this to $150. That will be payable through the pay portal on the 44th District Court website, or you may walk a cash check or charge into this court at 400 East 11 Mile Road, Monday through Friday between 8:30 and 4:30. Court's marking that due within 14 days. It's going to get better. Okay. Good luck to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.